Hola a todos, bienvenidos de nuevo a mi canal que se llama Atreyu Crochet. En el video de hoy vamos a hacer un gorro para mi hermanito que vive en Venezuela. Vamos a por ello. So for those of you who don't speak Spanish, basically I just said that in today's video I'm going to be making a cap for my little brother who lives in Venezuela. And this is going to be kind of what it looks like, not this design, but I'm going to be using 3 different colors. This is a very easy pattern. So you can make this only using one color, in which case you would only need 1 skein of yarn, or you can have as many colors as you want. In today's video, I'm going to be making a Venezuelan cap using 3 colors. So yeah, things you will need include a darning, weaving, tapestry needle. You're going to need a stitch marker, so you can mark your stitches. If you don't have something like this, then you can use a paper clip, a safety pin. You can even use yarn of a different color than the ones that you're going to be using. Any and everything works. You just need something to mark the stitch. You're going to need a pair of scissors, okay? And then for today's video, I'm going to be using a crochet hook size J, which is 6 millimeters, okay? All right, as I said before, let's get to it. All right, so we are going to start with a slip knot, twist exchange, pull that over. We're going to pull this over that one and off your finger while lifting up like that. We're going to take our size J 6 millimeter, and that is US crochet hook, insert it into the loop, and then pull to tighten. Now we are going to chain 1, 2, 3, okay? And we're going to go back into that first chain right there, and we're going to put 5 half double crochets. So with the half double crochet, you always yarn over first, and you enter the stitch. Remember, we're going back to that first chain, and I like to get 2 loops like that. Yarn over, pull through to the front. You're left with 3 loops, and now we yarn over and go through all 3. Okay, that's 1. Back into that same first chain for 2, back into that same first chain for 3, back into that same first chain, and get that tail out of the way for 4, and then back into that same first chain, get that tail out of the way for 5. Okay, so this first round basically has 5 half double crochets, and that's not counting the 2 remaining chains that we were left with when we chained 3 but started working into that very first chain. Okay, so now it's time to move on to round 2. What we're going to do is bypass those 2 chains, and we're going to work into the first actual half double crochet we made, which that's the top of it. There's the base, and then that's the top. Okay, so we're going to yarn over and then slice the icing off the top of the cake off the top of that first half double crochet. Yarn over, pull through to the front, 3 loops like normal. Yarn over, go through everything. And for this round, we're going to put 2 stitches into every stitch. So I'm going to yarn over, go back into that same space, that same spot, and put another half double crochet. Okay, I should mention, and I should have done it, but that first half double crochet we made, there's the top of it, that's where we want to put our stitch marker. Okay, so round 1 had 5 half double crochets. Round 2 will have 10 half double crochets because we're going to put 2 half double crochets into every stitch. Okay, and I'm going to stop counting stitches and just focus on the pattern. Okay, so this pattern is just 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay, 2 stitches in every stitch below. So the next one gets 2 stitches, that's 1, go back in there for 2. The next stitch right there, there's the top of it, gets 2 stitches, 2 half double crochets, 1, go back in there for 2. Okay. The next stitch, which is there, we'll get 2 stitches as well. Okay, so 1, back in there for 2. Alright, now let's count how many we've made, and we can count the tops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we've made 8. Remember, this round should have 10 because we're putting 2 stitches into every 1 stitch, so each of the 5. So we have this last one right there, so don't miss this one because the first stitch is the one with the stitch marker, so we still have this one, that top right there. So we'll put 2 half double crochets in there, so that'll be 9, and then that'll be 10. Okay, and now we're back around to the first stitch as is indicated by the stitch marker. So for this round, as I said, we're going to stop counting the number of stitches, just pay attention to the pattern. The pattern is now 1 and then 2, so this next stitch will get 1, and we're only using the half double crochet stitch. We'll take our stitch marker out, and now we're going to put it on the stitch that we just made, because now this is the first stitch of this next round. Okay, so that was a 1. Okay, and that means that the next stitch, you guys, which is right there, will get 2. So slice the icing, 1, and back in there for 2. Okay, the next one is going to get 1. The next one, which is there, will get 2. You're going to end on the 2, FYI. When we get back around to the stitch marker, you're going to end on the 2. Okay, if ever you're wondering what's the next stitch, just pull up and see where your stitches are pulling from. Okay, it's pulling from there, so that's the top of that stitch. So this right here must be the next stitch. See, they're pulling there, so this is the next stitch. So it gets a 1, and then the next one will get a 2. Back in there for 2. Next one, 1. Next one, 2. Back in there for 2. The next one will get 1. The next one will get 2. Back in there for 2. Okay. And we're back to the stitch marker. Alright, so this means that we're about to crochet the first stitch of round 4, and the pattern for this round will be 1, 1, 2. So go in there, make your first stitch, stop, take the stitch marker out, and put it on the stitch that you just crocheted, because this is now the first stitch of the next round. And by the way, when we crochet like this, we call this crocheting in continuous rounds. That's why we need this stitch marker, so we always know where the beginning of the next round begins. If we didn't have this, it could be kind of hard to tell. Okay. Alright, so as I said, the pattern for this round is 1, 1, 2. So we just did 1 in that one. So that means in the next stitch, which is there, we'll do a 1. Okay, so that's 1, 1, and then the next stitch, which is there, is going to be 2. Back in there for 2. Okay, next one, 1. Next one, 1. Next one, 2. My yarn split, so I'm going to start that over. Okay, so I did just getting my bearings, 2, 1, 1. Oh yeah, so this is the 2. So back in there for 2. Okay. Next one 1. Next one 1. Next one 2. Back in there for 2. Next one 1. Next one 1. Next one 2. Back in there for 2. Next one 1. Next one 1. Keep spinning my yarn. And then next one 2. Back in there for 2. As I said, we always end on the 2. And look, you guys, we're back around to our stitch marker. Okay, I'll do one more round with you. So this pattern that we just completed for this round was 1 1 2. The next round that we're about to begin will be 3 1s and then a 2. So we'll make our first one where the stitch marker is. That's 1. Stop. Take your stitch marker out and relocate it to the stitch you just crocheted. And now that's the beginning of this current round. So we got 2 more 1s to make. So 1, and then the next one is a 1, and then the next one is a 1, and then the next one will be a 2. Back in there for 2. Next one 1. Next one 1. Next one 1. That's 3 1s. Next one 2. Back in there for 2. Next one 1. Next one 1. Next one 1. Next one 2. Back in there for 2. Next one 1. Next one 1. Next one 1. Next one 2. Back in there for 2. Next one 1. Next one 1. Next one 1. Next one 2. Back in there for 2. Okay, and now we are back at the stitch marker, which means we're about to begin the next round. So you're going to continue in this way, okay, and you're going to keep doing this until you complete the row or round in which you do 6 consecutive 1s and then a 2. Okay, so this one I did 3 1s and a 2, so you'll keep making rounds until you complete the round where you make 6 1s and then a 2. Okay, I will see you there. Okay, so this is what mine is looking like so far. Okay, and I just completed the round where I had 6 1s, so 1 2 3 4 5 6, and then a 2. Okay, and notice that the pattern ended on the 2. Alright, now I'm at the beginning of the next round, as is indicated by the stitch marker there. And what I'm going to do for me, because I'm using multiple colors, it's time for me to change colors. Okay, so I am going to bring in my blue, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through. And I'm going to pull down on that yellow really tightly to make that loop disappear. Like that. Flip this over, pull on that yellow again, and then we'll tie a couple of knots. So 1, like that, and then 2, like that. Now I'm going to cut my yellow yarn because I don't need it anymore. Alright, and now I'm going to continue on crocheting. So if this is big enough to fit the crown of the head of the person that you're making this for, then you're done with increase rounds, and that is the case for me. Okay, so that means that with every successive round that I crochet, I'm only going to put 1 half double crochet into every stitch. Okay, no more pattern. That is the pattern, just one stitch. It's very simple. Okay. But I'm still going to use my stitch marker just because I like to know where the beginning and end is. And then also I'll show you a way to be able to tell later without it. Okay, so I'm going to make my half double crochet into that stitch with the stitch marker, take this out and relocate it there. Obviously we know that's the first stitch of the next round because it's in a different color, but you know, it's not always going to be like that. Alright, and as I said, every stitch will only get one stitch, so one half double crochet in every round. Okay, also I just want to mention, if this is like really like that, like really pointed, then you can loosen up your tension in the center. Okay, when the person puts it on their head, it's going to kind of mold to the shape of their head anyway. I tend to crochet tightly with a tight tension, so I'm prone to cause that little pucker. But as I said, it'll go away, you know, with time and as it's being worn. Okay, so we are going to make 8 rows of this color now. Okay, so, or if you are using the same color yarn, you didn't change, then just do 8 more rounds of your color that you're using. Okay, so I will meet you back once I get these 8 non-increase rounds completed. See you there. And don't forget to move that stitch marker to the first stitch of every new round. Alright, I have my rows of the blue now, and I'm about to change colors. But before I do, I wanted to show you. So here's the stitch marker, so that's going to start the new round. And basically, if you go diagonally just back, you'll see that it'll take you to the first stitch. Okay, so there's like a slant, so you go down, so this is in that, that is in that, that is in that, that is in that, that is in that, and then there. That's where we started, right? You can also go up, just, okay, so that's in that, 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 and that is in that, so that's the first stitch. Okay, it's just a little trick on working with continuous rounds if you wanted to know how to figure out where the round begins. Alright, so as I said, it is time to move on to the next color, my final color actually. It's going to be red. Venezuela, remember? So what we're going to do, as before, we're going to loop it on, pull, put this over, don't lose your red, and then pull on the blue so that that loop gets really small, tighten red again, and then we're going to tie a couple of knots like before. 1, 2. Okay, and we're going to make our first half double crochet in the stitch with the stitch marker like normal. Okay, we'll immediately take that out and move it to the red because that's now the first stitch of the current round, and then just continue on as normal. Okay, so you can do how many ever rounds you need to do to get it long enough for the head of the person that you're making it for. I think I'm probably gonna do 6 or 7 rounds, and then oh, I told a slight fib. I forgot, I thought about doing something else really cool, so I'm gonna use one more color, but you guys don't have to. Remember, you can do this whole hat in one color. But anyway, yeah, so I'll probably do 6 or 7 more rounds, and then I'll show you the surprise little thing that I'm gonna do at the end to kind of kick it off, to kind of set it off. See you there. Alright, so this is what we have so far, and you could be done. But I want to do one more thing to this. You guys know I'm kind of like spontaneous when I crochet, and as I'm crocheting, what else do I have to do other than crochet? But that's like, I do that on autopilot now, right? What else do I have to do other than think about other ways in which I can be creative? So, that being said, I thought about adding a little white border using the spike stitch. The white will be kind of representational of the stars on their flag, the Venezuelan flag, and so yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I could have put them in the blue. I think that's technically where they're at, but I kind of like them on the edge. I just like the white on the edge. It just serves as a nice border and kind of like pulls your eye to it. I think it just looks good. So yes, let's switch to the white. All right, so flip this over. All right, so I'm gonna grab my white, and if you guys are wondering where I'm getting all of these different colors from, I have them stored away in my nice crochet tote bag. I will leave a link in the description. It's very convenient because it holds, you know, like 6 different colors, and you just pull the yarn out of these holes. It's really, really nice. All right, so I'm gonna hook it on like I always do. Pull it through. Pull on the current color, which is red, to make that little loop right there disappear, like that. And then I'm going to tie a couple of knots between the white tail and the current color, the red. Alright, and now I'm going to cut down the red to the white, and now I'm done with the red. Okay. So I can take out my stitch marker now. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit more now. Okay. I can take out my stitch marker. I don't need it. I'm only doing one more round. And I'm going to be using the single crochet. Okay. So what I'm going to do is for this first one, this next stitch where the stitch marker was, I'm just going to put a regular single crochet in there like that. Okay. Alright, so my next single crochet, which would normally go there, because I'm doing the spike stitch, I'm going to go down one more row. So I'm going to go down and then over to the right, just to get to that little opening there. Okay, so insert my crochet hook, yarn over, keeping everything nice and loose, pull it through to the front, give yourself slack so you can get back up to the top, nice and loose, and then yarn over and complete your single crochet. Okay. With this next one, I will go in there, but I'm going to go down 2 rows this time. 1, 2, and that hole is right there. I don't need to go over to the right because there's a hole directly below it. It's because with this pattern, everything is kind of staggered. Okay, so I'll insert my crochet hook into that hole right there. From the back view, I'll yarn over and pull through to the front, keeping everything nice and loose, and then I raise it to the height of my current row, yarn over, and then go through like that. Okay, and I like my spikes to look the same, so I'm gonna just kind of rotate, make sure the right one is on the right side like that. Okay, you don't have to be that picky if you don't want, if you don't want to, but I kind of it's just how I am. All right, and now for the next one, which would normally go there, and I yarned over again, sorry. The next one I would go in here, right? But I'm going to go down 1 row and there. Okay, so basically you guys are just going to go in where you can get in. Okay, so there, and then pull through. And then the next one is just a regular single crochet in the next stitch, like that. Okay, I'm going to do one more pass. The next one, which is there, I'm going to go down 1 row over to the right. So go into that hole, keep everything nice and loose, and see how it crosses. You want it to be over like that. Okay, and now yarn over and complete your single crochet. Alright, and then the next one, which is there, we're going to go down 2 rows. So 1, 2, and there's a hole right there. Yarn over, pull through to the front, keeping everything loose, bring it up to the height. the current row, yarn over, and complete your single crochet. Okay, now for the next one, we'll be there, we're just going to go down one. Okay, so right there, pull through to the front, keeping it loose. You can do that if you want to make sure that the yarn is on the side you want it to be on, and then complete the single crochet. Okay, and you don't have to go in this same pattern. If you don't want, you can change it up. Okay, this is just what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm gonna finish doing this and I'll meet you guys once I get back around there. See you there. Alright, you guys, so this is what you have, and I'm back around. So I'm just gonna slip stitch into the first stitch, chain one, cut my yarn, fasten off, and then weave in the tails, and that is it. Okay, so this is how you make a hat, and I really believe mi hermanito he is going to enjoy this gorro. Alright, well, that is going to be it for this video, but you know, I will see you in the next one. In the meantime, happy crocheting!